Welcome back to the Maximum Mileage Running Podcast. I am your host, Nick Hancock, USCA and UK Athletics Certified Coach, and I am here with
Faye Johnson, also qualified UK Athletics Running Coach and personal trainer.
And this is a special episode. We are bringing the podcast back, but this is a special episode to bring us back. I had the pleasure of interviewing a good friend of mine called Frank Wainwright. He is an extreme ultra runner, is how I would describe him, and I think he describes himself that as well. He's somebody local to me, but he has done races like the Tunnel 200. He's one of the very few people that have finished the 200-mile tunnel in Bath, which is a ridiculous race, and he's about to embark on a huge expedition around the UK called Frank's Big Toe, and that will all be explained in the episode. Don't worry, we're not going to actually talk about his toe, but it's all for the Brathay Trust, who do some wonderful work with people in their youths about helping them get a head start in life. So yeah, a little bit more of I think a serious episode. But Faye, before we go into me talking to Frank, you've actually done the Brathay Marathon, right?
I did the Brathay Windermere Marathon back in 2016, I think it was. And I have to say, it's a road marathon. It's a very lumpy road marathon, but absolutely outstanding. Beautiful race, really well organised, fantastic atmosphere, and it's actually a road marathon that I would go back and do. It's a really nice experience.
I can't imagine you on a flat road marathon. To be
Never.
Yeah, no. Frank tells us more in the episode about the Brathay Marathon and how that fits in with the Brathay Trust. So here it is, folks. Without further ado, this is my chat with Frank Wainwright. Hi, Frank. Welcome to the Maximum Mileage Podcast.
And it's an absolute pleasure to be on it, Nick. I've followed the podcast for quite a few months coming up to this point, and I love the way you do it. So I'm very happy to be on it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. No, and for the listeners out there, I mean, you and I know each other. We've known each other for a few years now. We've been on
Feels like we practically grew up together. We're working the axis of Chippenham and Corsham, don't we? And those towns are not far apart.
Yeah, I used to be a Chippenham Harrier, of which you are still a member. I'm now at the rival, I don't know if we could call it rival club, really, Corsham Running Club.
I'm not a very club-oriented person. I love my club, Chippenham Harriers. I'm happy to pull on the blue and white when the opportunity comes up. But for me, the boundaries of where you operate from are almost irrelevant. And I found that having been an ultra runner now for quite a long time, I say quite a long time, 4 years or so, not really a long time. But having done that for a period of time, you find that your friends and connections work everywhere I go. It's such a ultra running and trail running in particular, also road running, is such a welcoming environment to be in that making friends and connections is a large driving part of what I do. I love being about the place and seeing people.
Indeed, yeah, that is exactly why I got so much into ultra running myself, because it is such a community-based kind of sport, really. I think it's, you can turn up at races and actually what other races can you do where you're running alongside someone just having a chat rather than going, I'm trying to beat you.
The events where you park your PB at the door, I want to get a marathon PB. I'm not against that. I love doing a road run, but events where you can park your PB at the door and just get out and enjoy the brilliance that we have, the outdoors with other people, on what people sometimes call a bit of a buffet run too, with some of the food carts that we get on the ultras. I love that. So it's a great way of being out and exploring and doing a thing.
Indeed. Well, Frank, I wanted you on the podcast for a long time, actually, well before what the reason you're kind of on here is to talk about your big toe. And before everybody turns the podcast off and goes, oh God, I don't want to talk about feet, we're not actually talking about Frank's actual toe, something else. But finally, got you on, and really excited to hear about your big toe. You're not your actual toe. Let's keep making sure that point is drilled home. But before we talk about your big toe, Frank.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about how you kind of got into running. Yeah, we'll keep this bit short because we want to make sure that we get
absolutely. But everybody has their own way in. For me, I've lived my life according to experiences. So I was at one point running a kind of bed and breakfast in a chateau in France. I've been work with the events industry quite a lot, and things came to a sudden halt in France. I became a single parent. I have my daughter Lily to look after, and we came back to Wiltshire for amenities and to be near my parents and to do things. And when I came back to Wiltshire, I said, what is the thing which I can join, which gives me an in with local people, to become part of the scene, to have people I can communicate with that can be a part of my support network. I have a wonderful support network with my partner Vicky and the family life that I live here, not pretending that I've been doing this all on my own. But when I came back to Wiltshire, then the opportunity was, what can I do? Running's the one thing. It's a simple thing to do. Everyone, with the cliche, you can pull on your pair of trainers, get out the door, and you can go running. Chippenham Harriers, mentioned them already, a very supportive part of that process. And I decided to have a go at, I think, doing the, in my usual kind of bullet a gate sort of way, I decided to have a go at doing the Couch to half marathon. So I started off running in 2017. I've been outdoors and fit, so it wasn't like a zero base. I did the Yeovil half marathon in about 2 hours in March that year, and progressed rapidly through to the point where I thought I can probably do a marathon. Did a marathon, and in the long run, wanted to do events that gave me a bigger, broader experience. I already had my eye on Trans Gran Canaria, which was an ambitious thing at that point. 2017, I had my eye on Trans Gran Canaria. 2019, I actually did it. I did Race to the Stones in the run up to that in the summer of 2018. Got my qualifying distance in for 100 kilometers, and then went to Trans Gran Canaria and sort of gambled my way round over those mountains in whatever it is, 125 kilometers, and survived it. Didn't do brilliantly, but I got over the hills and through it, and I found the whole experience very enlivening, invigorating, and it's such a beautiful journey, such a wonderful island. From there, I got into longer distances and became a 100-miler a few months later. I went through did the Beacon's Way for my first 100 miles event.
Yes, you did.
Which was the first iteration of that GB Ultras event. People, when they see me, I'm quite large. I've got love handles. I don't look like a goat running up and down mountains. I'm not that person. I do my kind of strength and conditioning and do a bit of work, but and I run plenty of miles. But I think there's a kind of surprise thing when people see me having a go at these things. I quite often get asked when I'm with sportier, better looking, harder running people than me, who have you come to support? And the look goes back the other way. Well, he's having a go at the UTMB, or having a go at some of the challenges that I've put myself up to. I think a lot of people talk about the Mongol 100, for instance, where we run for 4 marathons in 4 days across a frozen lake in Mongolia, minus 30 degrees, and camping on the lake in between. It's a long and flat opportunity to run in conditions that suited me down to an absolute T. So it turned out that I didn't know this, but camping and running across ice is something I'm really very good at. So it's been an adventurous discovery. That's 2018, kind of concertinaed up to kind of further along the towpath of running, and I've been able and fortunate enough to find lots of support, a lot of family support, a lot of sponsored support to go and do things that have allowed me to have a big and varied running CV. I think it's now 120 marathons and ultras in that time. So busy, both in Britain and abroad.
Yeah, and one of those most recent ones, you became one of the only finishers of the tunnel which for those who don't know what the tunnel is, because I have mentioned this to a few people, it's almost one of those, I said it before we started recording, it's a niche event within an already niche sport. And for those who don't know it, there is it's a 1 mile tunnel, right, between
it's a
Bath
1
and
mile
Bristol.
tunnel. It's local to us here in Wiltshire by coincidence. It's just over the border. It's in Coombe Down Tunnel underneath Bath. It's an old Sustrans. It's a Sustrans route now. It's an old railway tunnel that is just over a fraction over a mile long in length. It's the longest accessible tunnel in this country. And the challenge of the Tunnel Ultra, which appeals to the extreme end of ultra runners, is that you have to do 100 there and backs in the tunnel. It's 200 miles in the tunnel. You're not allowed headphones. You're not allowed supports. You're not allowed to run alongside each other. It's to do with sensory deprivation, and it's to do with going a long way under your own guidance with one box of supplies at the end of the tunnel, one toilet that you have access to, and somebody who might, with a bit of love and care, make you a pot noodle or a coffee if you put your arm around.
I've heard about the pot noodle thing. Yeah,
the pot noodle fetish of ultra running. It's easy to access. Importantly, wet snack that you can get down easily, has plenty of electrolytes in it, and a warming bundle of calories that you can get down relatively easily when your inner core is working a little bit hard and your stomach's not getting the blood that it would like, then it's a really good thing to give a bit of a go-to.
This episode is not sponsored by Pot Noodle, just for...
No, other brands of noodle are available too. True. And other easy snacks. So hot water into some mashed potato, just as good. The tunnel event, therefore, you got 55 hours to complete it in. I think there've been about 250 people that have had a go at the tunnel. You have to have quite an extended CV to get into the event in the first place. It's an invitational. You have to pay to be in it. It's still an invitational to join up with other people in the tunnel. 40 people have a go each year, and normally somewhere between about 3 and 6 or 7 people will complete it. I am therefore the 22nd or 23rd person, something of that order, to successfully complete the tunnel, which I did this year in 54 hours and 19 minutes. So I got full value for money from it and had the full experience. And we had the one show following us through the tunnel and also the Parisienne in France. So it had a bit of notoriety about it.
It certainly had a feeling that it almost got as much coverage in this country as the Barclays. It was, well documented. I mean, obviously,
the amongst runners, everybody really knows the significance of and difference. But the Barclay takes a bit more explaining, so it's harder for an outsider to get a snapshot of the Barclay, because what's double up Everest in 100 miles, and all of that, those kind of spells that Laz makes kind of makes it mysterious on purpose. There's nothing simpler than to say to people, I've just done 200 miles on a 1 mile tunnel. And so you can get that. What you don't get about the tunnel necessarily is how the lights work. So the lights, if you can imagine this going off very straight in front of you, going off to a point, work up until about 11 o'clock at night. During the day, up until about 11 o'clock at night, then they switch off between 11 and 5. And actually running in that tunnel, or walking and jogging and running in that tunnel, you want the lights to go out because you end into head torch zone, which is a lot more reassuring. Those lights could be specifically designed to be hypnotic.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's mind-bending stuff.
Sway going that sends you off to sleep, and before you know it, you're in hallucination land. And my hallucinations in the tunnel were vibrant and enjoyable, fortunately for me. The tunnel became my saviour because it became a mountain pass, and it became villages, and it became DIY stores, and it did all sorts of stuff for me that made the boredom plod of going backwards and forwards much more engaging. So long as I could keep a little handle on reality, which I managed to do by watch. I have a watch which won't work for GPX, but you can do time of day on a watch, and that means you've got some reality. You can go, oh, hang on, I know what that is. That's 15 minutes later than it was before. I should be reaching the end of the tunnel now.
Yeah.
So that's nice. Other people in the tunnel, Kevin going past in one direction, losing sense of reality, and I'm going past in the other direction, saying, remember to turn at the mat, Kevin. And those little moments of reality keep you switched in to the process of doing it, so that you can sort of not lose your brain completely, but in between, let it all drift and just plod along to your own rhythm, listening to the hallucinations and hoping that they won't come out and murder you.
It sounds unbelievable. I really must get down there one day and even just kind of witness some of it. Maybe try it one day. I don't know. You know me, I don't like laps, and that just sounds hideous. So
I'm not by no means a laps merchant, but it turns out that I was good at laps. So the people that follow Backyard Ultras, the local one, which was particularly hilly, was an event which I turned out to be last man standing for. And I'm not the sort of person that goes out and wins events. So to have something which I can just bore people to tears with and do successively into to the point where I can have a chance of doing something. The fact that I'm moderately good at them made laps more interesting to me, contrary to having just sort of like being out and talking to people in the open air, which is really much more me. And I'm up and down mountains and taking in the view. That's me. I have a writing and photography background, so going out and seeing places and people is typically more my adventure.
Well, let's talk about your next adventure, and actually an even more recent adventure than the tunnel, because it does interlink, doesn't it? Is the Brathay 10 in 10?
Yeah, my chosen charity, and I am a fundraising person. I've raised large amounts for charity over my lifetime, but my chosen charity these days is always youth focused. And it's youth focused for a reason, which is because I was once part of a wonderful team of people that raised a huge amount of money for curing pancreatic cancer. And we poured that into a brilliant guy called Dr. John Marshall at Bart's Institute, who is an absolute genius. And he is the nearest you would ever get to curing cancer, and certainly advanced the process a bit with pancreatic cancer. But nevertheless, not quite getting there, I found quite frustrating. I want to see where my money's going, and so in my head, I like to think, well, if I can extend the attitude I have to my own family, and engage with young people, then I can see the best coming through for them. And these people, once they get an opportunity, if you take a young person that's from a deprived background, give them an opportunity, let them be the person that they could be, then they absolutely bite your arm off for the opportunity, and then they become such a great version of themselves that and Brathay Trust do this. Brathay, as one of those youth development charities, one that I'm supporting this year, is absolutely brilliant. They take young kids out of Barrow-in-Furness, out of Bradford, and they get them out to places like Ambleside, where they have their hall in the lakes, or in Bradford, they work very closely with their families and the councils, and they allow these young people to become great citizens and to have the opportunity for them to then contribute to the future. And I think that young people, therefore, can there be kind of enabled to be our citizens for looking after the future with sustainability, with medicine, with entrepreneurship, with wherever their talents may take them, and make the world a better place through their efforts, rather than me trying to pretend what I think I can help out with next. And so that's my view of it. And because of that, therefore, I chose Brathay. Brathay is very closely connected to the running community. They created this original 10 in 10 event. This is the first of its kind, originally for doing 10 marathons in 10 days. It's 10 loops of the Windermere Marathon route, which finishes on the 10th day with the Windermere Marathon. If anybody does go from marathon running to think I could do multiple marathon runnings, I say, you have to be a charity contributor to make the Brathay one. Don't make that your hurdle, because it is an absolutely brilliant opportunity. You go to Brathay 10 in 10. They look after you in a kind of January training session up in the hall. Then you've got the full 10 days staying in the hall with brilliant University of Cumbria students that work on your physio, with a team of other runners that will become your friends for life, and all motivated to doing the same thing, getting you through this process of doing 10 marathons in 10 days around a course that absolutely bites. The Windermere Marathon course is not plodding up down the Thames towpath. It is a route that is full of drama and full of up and down bits, but also takes you through lots of celebratory villages and past schools, and it's a very engaging route, and the support that they give you at Brathay Trust is excellent. So yes, I got through Brathay 10 in 10. I think I was 16th or 17th out of 17 or 18 people to do it in terms of my times going around. I managed to get my piriformis, managed to munch my sciatic nerve early on in the process. I think that was probably during marathon number 2, which made it an electrical charged trudge. It wasn't the most, running the actual marathons wasn't the most enjoyable thing at that point. Fortunately, Windermere and its lake and what have you, known in the news at the moment for its pollution, but actually at this time, clear and lovely looking, and the whole area there in the lakes, one of the best places you can go running, and that and the support and the network still made it a fabulous run for me. But I was running with a lot of pain, unfortunately, for at least the first half of each day with a cambered road that was making it worse.
Yes, you did ask me the other day when we spoke briefly on the phone. You said, "What can you tell me about piriformis syndrome?" I was like, "Oh, that sounded like you were in a bit of pain there, Frank."
Well, there's nobody. You're a great student of both ultra running, marathon running, and the body, and so take the opportunity. I always say to anybody in that we are connected in the world of ultra running in particular, with and multiple marathon running with people that have been through it. So tap in.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great glories of running with 17 other brilliant athletes around Windermere Lake, is that they found a way for me to get through it. They taught me how to get my stretches done in the right point on the road. Everybody was empathetic and sympathetic, and we produced a brilliant team. In fact, we had a runner called Sam Matthews who averaged 3 hours and 5 minutes every day running around that course. So there are some spectacular. I couldn't just to name Sam, but everybody that we ran with had a wonderful list of CV list of achievements and attainments, and were warm-hearted and emotionally engaging people alongside the students as well. An overwhelming, during the last day, an overwhelming experience with all the other runners giving you a pat on the back on the Windermere Marathon as they come past.
How many people were in the actual Windermere Marathon itself? Was that a bigger...
1,000.
Oh, okay, so that was a bigger, sort of more public...
It's a big event, and the Brathay runners start off an hour ahead. And so we start out on the road with ourselves on our own. And Windermere attracts really good GB-type runners. So the first runners are coming past the slower versions of the Sam got round before anybody caught him up, because he's an hour ahead. And so did Steve Carson. They were well ahead of the first Windermere Marathon finisher. But for those of us that were going a bit more slowly, you get the privilege and luck of having people coming past you going, "Oh, well done, you're the hero today." I thought, yeah, I'm the hero. I like being the hero. No,
brilliant, Frank. It's amazing, the stuff that you do, and seeing Brathay recently, and like you say, it's just such a great cause. I mean, I look at my sons in the eyes every day, and I see them as the future. And whilst they're not, the sort of the demographic that you're going for with your efforts, they are the future. So good.
Yeah, absolutely. My daughter isn't the demographic that I'm going for, because she's fortunate enough to have me behind her, supporting her directly. But what I do hope is that when I reach my dotage and retirement, that I will have other people's stories to follow, where I've had a ever so gently guiding hand in there behind them to see them on their way, and then they can come and look after me when I'm feeling old.
Yeah. No, brilliant, Frank. So, Brathay chosen charity.
Yes.
I will put a link in the show notes. But do you have a fundraising page?
Yeah, so everything you can find out about me is at frankpublishing.com, and the links page at frankpublishing.com has every link towards everything I'm doing, including the top of the page, the donations link, or it's just giving Big Toe Runner if you can find it that way.
Cool. All right, brilliant. And I think that's a good segue there. Big Toe.
There is a reason for that, and it is Big Tour of England. So
exactly.
Tour of England, rather.
Yes.
And this is an event of my own devising. There's the Big Toe thing. That's what the logo for the event looks like. Those are the beer mats that I'm handing out as I go around, and also ahead of the event. But I'll come into it I've come into that from the wrong angle. So. The event itself came to me during lockdown. It's my pivot during lockdown, which is why it's England rather than Wales and Scotland as well. We will get to Wales and Scotland as well, but British cycling or English cycling, somebody like that, came up with a route in lockdown, which joined up all 42 of our English cathedral cities, England, and challenge people. Could you go from Durham to Newcastle or somewhere like that in order to enjoy your cycling whilst under lockdown? And I thought to myself, well, look at those cathedral cities. They take you around the whole of the country to all sorts of interesting points, going urban country all the way. That might fit with my plan. I wonder if I could run it all. And when I put them all together, mileage came out somewhere between about 1,800 and 2,000 miles. I thought, yeah, I'll probably run that. And
as you do.
So what I've done is I've improved on the cycling people's route immensely, combining the best bits of what they had to come up with, but also with our national parks, national trails, and national landmarks, castles, national trust places, event venues, shopping centres, and I've created a route which is called My Big Tour of England. It starts, to give you an idea of this, it starts up in Newcastle. It's a clockwise route around the country. It comes down through the east side of the country, through places like Sheffield and Wakefield, and down eventually to Chelmsford. It comes across the top of London to St Albans, and then like a kind of diagonal Watling route slash across London through St Paul's Cathedral and down to Rochester, Canterbury, and then along the bottom. So we're talking Guildford and Chichester and Portsmouth and Salisbury and Exeter, and down to Truro eventually. Truro, fortunately, far enough away to make sure that all of Cornwall gets involved with this caper. Then up to places like Bristol, in and out to Oxford, then Gloucester and Hereford, and eventually goes through Birmingham, Lichfield, and up to Chester and Liverpool and Manchester, up to Carlisle, through the lakes via Brathay Trust, and across Hadrian's Wall, and finishes back in Newcastle again. So once understood that it's a much more exciting thing than another John O'Groats to Land's End, once you appreciate that it goes through, if there's a place on the route that it goes through, it will go through it. So it goes through the front door of Leeds Castle, and out the back it goes through Winston Churchill's house, and out the back it goes through several different landmarks every day. And on my website, frankpublishing.com, it has got day 1, day 2, day 3, all in detail. Every day has a detailed schedule and itinerary, timings where I'm going to be at a particular point. Cathedrals make it easy to find me, and equally other things that we're trying to do with the day in terms of the storytelling, because I'm a writer, so trying to make every day work in terms of flora, fauna, and a dog walker of the day, the best pint in Britain, the in England, the fish and chips, the pasties in Cornwall, the cheddar of cheddar, and the stotties and the pies and the get the whole colourful jamboree of the thing going. With people coming to join me at different points. There are park runs all the way around. So every Saturday there's a park run to locate me with. A lot of people are coming to join me to do a mile or two out of the park run and come back into town again. The pace of the thing is slow, so it is. We're talking 4 miles an hour effectively on a schedule like that. There is a tracker on me, so if I'm not running exactly according to the schedule, then people can come and find me.
I was going to ask, is there a tracker?
Yeah, so Track Trailer providing tracker for this. Thank you, Tracker. And I have, because I'm in the events world and the events industry, and because I have another entrepreneurial thing of mine called the Field Marketing Brand Experience Awards, those agencies and their venues are supporting me all the way around. So there's going to be an app called Roam with Frank. There's going to be a PR agency on it. Pretty Green, the PR agency for this piece, have given me a 6-person team to be dealing with things like radio and media and print, and they're going to turn me into an expert TikToker, so I understand.
Oh, God. No dancing, please, Frank. No dancing.
3 weeks to turn that out. I think that might be the old silk and sow's ear type thing, but nevertheless, whatever I can do, I will do to get around the country and celebrate it in all of its glory. Starting on the 1st of July, finishing on the 31st of August. So the dates are absolutely mesmerically easy to remember. It is every day of an English summer, starting 1st of July in Newcastle, finishing 31st of August in Newcastle, with the whole of the country, every county, every national trail, and every park involved on the in-between.
Fantastic. It sounds amazing. I mean, when you put it like, well, it's going to be sort of 1,800 to 2,000 miles, that sounds incredibly daunting, but I know that's going to be very much broken up into different days. And I mean, I encourage everybody, and I will put the link in the show notes, to go and have a look at the schedule, because this isn't just something that you've gone, I'm going to run between each place and there's a few places I'm going to stop off on the way. It's a very detailed schedule that you have definitely spent some time. I mean, you came up with it, as part of a lockdown project. We're 4 years since lockdown.
It's benefited. I say this in the worst possible way. It has benefited from the sad circumstances that are now good circumstances surrounding my partner Vicky, who battled with breast cancer last year, mm-hmm. and came through the other side of it with her final operation this year. We would have done it last year otherwise, and I don't think I'd have quite got it as detailed and as exact as I meant to. So without that misfortune turning misfortune around into a fortune means that she's out there supporting me with the tour, and it means that the tour itself has had an extra year of preparation and detail going into it. And actually, every day I put more detail into how it's all working. Just the other day, for instance, the route is supposed to be inclusive, and it's supposed to allow people to come and join for a bit. And just the other day, we added the hand biking people at Wakefield, who said, "Oh, you're doing an inclusive tour of England. How can we get involved with that?" And I said, "You can get involved with that. Tell me where you are, where you're located." And they said, "Well, we can get our hand bikes out at a place called Beauty Park in Wakefield." And I said, "Well, that's brilliant to go right past there." So we're getting the hand bikers out for a demonstration of what they do, going for a circuit around PUC Park. I'm going to have a little go and make sure I've got the chance to do it. We'll get hopefully some cameras in for us, and Wakefield Council are coming to show what a great... Wakefield Council have turned it in part of their Your Area project, which shows what Wakefield has to offer. So out of one little germ of an idea, a very nice thing is happening.
Yeah, fab.
And those things are happening on the tour all the way around.
Oh, brilliant, Frank. It sounds amazing. And I mean, I've got to ask the question, when do you, and I'll look on the schedule, but when do you plan to kind of come back around to where we live?
So I think it's about the 12th of August. I'm trying to remember. It's a Monday, I think. There's a Sunday that I think, I'm going to say it's about the 11th of August, Sunday the 11th. If that's not the right date, it's the Sunday when I come from... I go from Wells in the morning up through Chumagna and into Bristol, mm-hmm. and then Bristol to Bath, and then the next day is a Monday, and that comes through Bath through Corsham into Chippenham for a lunchtime route up Chippenham High Street, We've asked the mayor to come out. I think he probably will. We've got a new mayor. With the old mayor was up for this. We've got a new mayor who I'm just making touch with there, called Connor, and hopefully he will come out for a salute as we come through Chippenham, which will be a lunchtime opportunity. And I am going down all of Chippenham High Streets distributing my pub quiz beer mats, which will get everybody, I think, the opportunity to know when this event is happening and to look out the doors of their coffee shops as we come through. Obviously, most people from my Harriers crew will be working, sadly, but they can come and join me in the evening. We finish at Avebury in the evening, and hopefully we'll manage to do something like a pub meal or something with everybody when we come out at Avebury.
Yeah,
with a few dutiful calls, because we've got to get in all the glory of the local area. But I might cheat there a little bit and do Laycock in advance.
Nice. Well, there you go, folks. Anybody local who's listening, and we will have plenty of local people listening, try and have a look at the schedule and get some time off on the Monday. I know it's school holidays as well, so a double difficulty there for people. But get out and do a few miles with Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. And if not, we've got the things like the park run down at the street, which is about an hour or so out of our local area. Where at the moment we're slated to do, you might have, if you're not a fancy dress person, you might not want to come, but if you are, we will, I think, have a few, the Fruits of Somerset will be taking to Street Park Run.
Will you be in Pineapple again?
Well, that's of Avalon, and we will run everybody up to Glastonbury and take a picture at the tour.
Yeah. Will you be a Pineapple again?
I will be a Pineapple, yes. But, I'll be a Somersetshire Pineapple. All very appropriate if everybody knows that I ran last year raising money as a Pineapple for motor neurone disease.
Yeah. Where was it? Was it London you did?
It was Leeds Marathon.
Leeds, that was it.
The very sad news yesterday. Very sad news that Rob Burrow actually passed away. His inspirational input and Kevin Sinfield's inspirational input made me think, how can I join in with this in a way where I can actually raise some money for it? The way to raise some money for it, if you're good at doing marathons and do them weekly, means nobody's going to sponsor you to do another one. So they might sponsor you if you put a pineapple outfit on, and they will sponsor you if you put a pineapple outfit on and do dancing and exercise maneuvers en route. And I had the most brilliant day, running through the sunshine of Leeds and doing press-ups for the lads and doing agadoo for the kids in their wheelchairs. So the celebratory day out in Leeds, and what Rob and Kevin put together is an outstanding event. If it happens again next year, I'm sure it will. Then Leeds Marathon is a heart and soul event to go and participate in.
Yeah, 100%. I think what Rob and Kevin have done, there and just for the MND community, I think is going to live on for many, many years. Yeah, it was really sad to see about
and for awareness of kindness as well. The kindness that those guys project rubs off whether MND or beyond. So the desire to make the best of circumstances and to help each other along in the most trying of situations, in the face of smiling through adversity. It's a cliche, but that's what they've done with an exemplary way.
Yeah, Kevin Sinfield for a knighthood. If King Charles, if you're listening, I think he needs to be on your New Year's Eve knighthood list for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Frank. I mean, I think you answered this, but what is it you were talking to me earlier on about why you've chosen this route and sort of the interlink between urban and the countryside and how that actually plays into that youth development piece.
Yeah, so actually, when I started working with Brathay on this, and they are an urban country charity. They work with these kids, as I've mentioned, in Barrow and in Bradford. And long term, I love these local oriented charities. I say local, they're a big charity with huge ambitions that deliver brilliant work. But you could call them local. You could say, well, they've got those seats where they operate at their best. They might expand to more. Hopefully they will do. But there are other charities that work in a similar way. And when my PR agency, Pretty Green, said to me, okay, you're running this great urban country story, which I think is quite inspiring for the young people that are looking for opportunities in those areas. But what can we tell the radio of Norwich or the media of Truro what you're up to, what the connection is? I said, well, there's a great local storytelling piece. Yeah, when I go to Norwich, I'm going to the Norfolk Broads, blah blah blah. When I go down to Truro, I'll be celebrating the Cornish countryside for absolute certain. But there must be more to it than that. And I said, well, what I can do, I can lean on my industry. So what I'm doing, I've created my own charity structure called Event, YVENT, that's Young People for the Events Industry. That will become a formalized charity over time. But what it does do is it leans on my network from my other world, from field marketing and brand experience, to produce a list of mentors and work experience opportunity, so that people where I go around the country and looking into other charities as well as the Brathay, where they say, I've got somebody that would be a great candidate for some work experience in the events industry, into the field marketing industry. What can you do? Then I'll lean on my list of mentors and tell them, we've got somebody that would like some work experience. You're doing Silverstone. Can they shadow your event manager for Silverstone? We've got somebody that wants to go onto a well-being program. Your staff are doing that. Can they come and join in? And my giving world of the people that support me with all of these things, absolutely guaranteed to be involved with that. Just as they are guaranteed coming in on supporting us around the route. So people are coming from those agencies to give me support on the way around. And the venues where they operate from are all largely sponsoring. So the big shopping centres that I go through that host big events are all on the sponsorship list. That's places like Blue Water Shopping Centre in Kent or Trafford Centre in Manchester. And when we get to those places, they're giving me the big screen so I can talk further about youth and event as I go around on my run.
Fantastic. Frank, I cannot wait to see it. I can't wait to follow it. I'll be doing some dot watching because I love a bit of dot watching, and that's 2 months worth of dot watching.
That'll keep you busy, out of mischief.
Indeed. And when you get the link to the tracking, we'll pop that in the show notes as well. So hopefully anybody who's catching up on the episodes from July the 1st until the 31st of August can track you as well.
Just waiting to make sure that can handle the entirety of the route. The route takes a long time to turn into a GPX file. It's a small file, but on my computer it's sat there waiting and waiting for it to turn out the full route.
Yeah.
But hopefully it'll all work with TrackTrail. I love their trackers, so should be great.
Yeah, cool. Frank, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for talking about Brathay.
Talk about the whole thing. It's I've loved it.
Yeah, no, Brathay just sound amazing with what they're doing and how they, and particularly how they link to the running community as well. So, yeah, excited to see, what happens over the next couple of months and how much you raise and all of the awareness that you, not just in terms of raising cash, but actually raising the awareness as well. Yeah,
the fundraising is going along in the background at the moment. On the page, it's about 5,500, but there's another 10,000 or so already allocated from the supporters that are being doing it through our invoicing program. So I've set myself an initial 60,000 target on the fundraising, and the corporates will get us there. I hope, and after that, hopefully the PR side of things will start to generate more of a consumer-driven fundraising campaign.
Brilliant. Well, Frank, I wish you all the best with it. I know you're going to do it because, as you're known locally, Frank the Tank, you just keep going.
Anybody can come up with a terrible injury. I might come up with a terrible injury. The pace of the thing means that the limited opportunities for injury brings the injury count down by going along in a careful way. I'm well supported and looked after by people as I go around. Yeah. So hopefully it will be all right. But I tell you what, my sponsors are tremendously forgiving. If if I had to do half a day in the car to recover or something along those lines, then they would definitely not mind. From my side of things, I've got a pretty good track record of completion. So, and I think it's nice to have talked about the tunnel, because talking about tunnel to people that don't know about it from a fundraising perspective, I mean, they go, you might be able to do this thing, and I think you probably can. And of course, having the confidence that embeds is helpful and good.
Yeah, DNF are not three letters that you're all that familiar with, really, are you? So...
No, I mean, I have DNFs on my CV, and they always make the best stories, and there's always a good learning curve through them. So I'm proud of my DNFs.
Oh yeah, 100%. They're not.
They were well earned.
Yes, exactly. They're not sort of weak DNFs like a bad shoe choice like one of my DNFs.
I don't think I've had one. I don't think I've had one where I've just gone, I didn't fancy it today.
Yeah.
I don't mind hearing about those either, but sometimes that's somebody's sensible decision. But that's not really me. I'm much more likely to come to the end of the road, largely because the timings of the event are against me, rather than because my body is completely broken. But when you're broken to the point where you're moving too slowly to complete the event, then there's a sort of inevitability about it.
Yeah, as I say, Frank, thank you so much for coming on, and we will be following you with interest.
I've enjoyed talking about it. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Frank.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Maximum Mileage Running podcast.
You can find more out about us at maximummileagecoaching.com. If you think you need help with your running and you think that either myself or Faye could be the coach for you, then drop us an inquiry. No obligation whatsoever, and we'll have a chat with you about your running. And there's plenty of resources on the website as well. And don't forget, you can join us on the Maximum Mileage Running Podcast Facebook group. Until next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.